Hello everyone, I am going to cover the ecology and environment portion of your ANUBHAV test. So we are going to start with question number 25 first of all. Statement 1 says decrease in jellyfish population. Let's just mark the important keywords here. Decrease in the jellyfish population has been recorded near Kerala coast in recent years. So this statement is wrong. Actually the trend has been, there has been an increase in the jellyfish population near the Kerala coast. Now why this has happened? This has happened mainly because of the human related factors. The human related factors which comprise of eutrophication, that is increase in the nutrient level of the water bodies, which results in increase in the plankton population on which this jellyfish feeds upon. So as a result the jellyfish population has actually increased. Secondly, the second reason is there has been the phenomenon of climate change, or to be more precise you can relate it with global warming. Due to global warming there has been increase in the temperature of the oceans. Why now? When the temperature of the oceans increase, it results in decline in the level of oxygen in the water bodies. When the oxygen level declines, what happens is that there is the animals or the marine life that is affected in a negative manner. So it affects the marine life in negative manner. Now there are two things, there are two organisms which feed upon this jellyfish population, that is they keep the population of the jellyfish under control. What are those organisms? One is tortoise and another one is swordfish. Both of them are affected negatively due to this global warming or increase in the temperature of the oceans. That's why first of all the jellyfish population is already increasing because of the increase in the nutrient level. Secondly, the ones who can control its population, they are also declining. So it is resulting in jellyfish bloom. It is known as jellyfish bloom. One thing it should be clear to you that it is a natural phenomena. Every year from November to March there is this phenomena observed on our coast. But the problem is that there has been an increase in the population of the jellyfish, which is now affecting the fishermen. Because whenever any population increases, it is going to have a negative impact. And these fishermen, their nets get clogged due to this jellyfish. Along with it, jellyfish releases a special chemical which creates severe itching, which results in severe itching in human body. So the fishermen are being affected negatively. Along with it, the tourism is also being affected. It is also affecting tourism. So jellyfish is affecting fishermen, jellyfish is affecting the tourism and any other activity that happens on the coast or in the coastal areas. So this first statement is wrong. There has been a recent increase in the jellyfish population on the Kerala coast. Along with it, now the second statement says warmer waters with lower oxygen are stressful for most aquatic animals. This statement is right. But for the jellyfish, it has a very particular characteristics. It is not affected by the warmness and the lower levels of oxygen in the oceans. So jellyfish is not being affected by this decrease in the level of oxygen. Along with it, it is getting enough food in the oceans. So that's why its population is increasing. So the second statement is right, first statement is wrong. Your answer becomes option D. That is, first statement is incorrect, but second statement is correct. Now let's discuss about this jellyfish. Jellyfish, it belongs to the phylum Cnidarians, and if you can remember, to the same phylum belongs the corals. So the corals as well as the jellyfish, they share the same phylum. They belong to the same phylum in our classification structure. They belong to Cnidarian Cnidarian phylum. Now next we move to the next question. Next question is question number 26. It says, which of the following organizations release the Rise of Environmental Crime report? So this report is released by United Nations Environment Program along with Interpol. So these two organizations release this, the Rise of Environment Crime report. You can see crime, Interpol has to be there, and environment, UNEP is there. So they both release this report. If you want to eliminate, you can easily eliminate the option D, because it is basically with respect to crime prevention. It is not related to the environment. So environment part, some environment body should do it. So it is the UNEP. Now if you talk about UNEP, its main focus is on climate change, along with pollution and biodiversity loss. So primarily United Nations UNEP focuses upon these three areas, in which it try to help out countries while they are transitioning towards the low carbon and resource efficient economy. So the main function of UNEP is to propagate the environment protection agenda. It releases these reports. These are the important reports: emission gap report, second is adaptation gap report, third one is global environment outlook, then you have action on air quality, and lastly invest on healthy planet. Some campaigns are also being run by UNEP. These campaigns are Beat Pollution, UN 75, then World Environment Day, and Wild for Life. So you should remember all these things, they can come in your question papers. Now next we move to question number 27. Question number 27 says, certain species of which of the following organisms make sacrifices of themselves to protect their offspring by releasing toxic chemicals from their bodies? See, every organism is bound to have some protective mechanism. For example, if we take our example, so we have appendages, we can fight. So every organism is going to have some protective mechanism with it. First, hawks, they are already strong. Second is ants. Ants can have this thing, they can release some toxic chemicals because they don't bite as such, and some ants don't have that capability also. Thirdly, bats, they can fly, they have appendages, so it is not possible, and dolphins is also not possible. So the answer here is option B, ants. A special variety known as Colopsis explodens, it releases chemicals from its backside. It will expand like this and it will burst out. Whenever there is any threat to their community, few of the ants, they will come together, they will expand like this, and they will explode and release some toxic chemicals which is going to protect their community. So it happens in the ants. These ants are mostly found in the Southwest Asia. They are mainly found in the Southwest Asia. Next is question number 28. It says, consider the following statements regarding the bats. First one is, they are only mammals on the earth that can maintain a sustained and true flight. We know that bats can fly. This is very much clear to us. So they have a true flight. That's correct. Now the point is, are they mammals and are they only mammals which can fly? So this statement is right. Bats are grouped under mammals, they come under mammals, and they are the only mammals which can have a sustained and true flight. If we talk about mammals, mammals have certain characteristics. These characteristics include, they have mammary glands, they have hairs, they are viviparous. viviparous means they give birth to young ones. For example, if we talk about birds, they are oviparous. Birds are oviparous, they lay eggs, and out of those eggs the young ones come out. But if we talk about mammals, for example, we give birth to direct to the young ones. So mammals have mammary glands, they have hairs, and they are viviparous also. So first statement is right. They are the only mammals on the earth that can maintain a sustained and true flight. Second, recent genome studies of bat have revealed that they are at a high risk of developing cancer. Now this is something that you need to be aware about. They are actually at a very low risk of developing cancer. Bats have this peculiar characteristics that they are not, that the cancer in them is very rare. The cancer is a very rare phenomena in bats. So that's why studies are going on that what the bat is having or what genetic code bat is having, that it is not affected by cancer, and this study can be helpful for countering cancer in the human beings also. Now along with this, the bats have also one more characteristics, that they are also not affected by viral infection. They are not affected by virus or viral infection. That's why a lot of viruses are found in bats which affect other organisms. For example, COVID-19, if you talk about, there was news also, and in news it was there that COVID-19 might have come from bats. So bats can be a repository of the various viruses, but it is not affected by virus. Secondly, in bats, cancer is a very rare phenomena. So this second statement is wrong. Third one is, echolocation is used by bat as a way to navigate and prey in the dark. First of all, the term, it should raise your eyebrows. What is this echolocation? It is formed from two words, echo plus location. Echo means when you produce a sound, it is getting reflected back. So when you are using sound to navigate, when you are using sound to find a location of something, that is known as echolocation. So in bats, what happens is that they release sound at a very high frequency. That frequency might be around more than 20 kilohertz, and that sound goes in front, and whenever anybody comes in between, this sound is reflected back. This sound is reflected back. So bats, they release some sound, and this sound when hits anybody or anybody in between, it is reflected back. This reflection is caught by the bat, and the bat is able to know what is the location of that prey or that obstacle which is coming in its path. So this is known as echolocation. So this statement is right. Echolocation is used by bats as a way to navigate the prey in the dark. So your first and third statement are right. Answer becomes option B, that is only 2. Now this echolocation technique is not unique to bats only. There are other organisms which use this echolocation technique. One example can be whales. They produce sound of more than 50 kilohertz. The range might be 50 kilohertz to 130 kilohertz. Similarly, dolphins, they also produce sound, which they also use this echolocation technique, and they produce a sound more than 40 kilohertz. So this echolocation technique is used by dolphins, whales as well as bat. You should be aware about this thing. One more thing you should be aware about is that the human ears can hear only sound which range between 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So this range, the sound that bats produce or the sound that whale and dolphin produce, is not heard by or is not audible to the human ears. Now next we move to next question. Question number 29. Question says, Mycoplasma bacteria are inherently resistant to antibiotics. They are resistant to antibiotics. This statement is right. Second statement, unlike other bacteria, they do not have cell walls. This statement is also right. Now we have to find, are they both, is this the reason or not? Anyway, the answer should be option A, because both the statements are correct and it is also the correct explanation of the first statement. Now let's study what is mycoplasma and how the antibiotic is not able to affect this mycoplasma. There was a classification given by R.H. Whitaker. He classified the whole organisms that are available on earth into 5 categories. First one was Monera. This is kingdom Monera. Second one is Protista. Third one is your fungi. Then Plantae. And last is Animalia. So this is the 5 kingdom classification given by R.H. Whitaker. In the Monera kingdom, we have mycoplasma, then we have bacteria here, also cyanobacteria is included under Monera kingdom only. This Monera, this kingdom was the initial one which were formed at the earliest. These were the earliest ones, and later on these formed. So as the Monera has formed, it is the primitive one. It should be primitive one. It is the earliest one, na? So in the Monera kingdom, the cells that you found are mainly prokaryotic. The cell type that is found in Monera kingdom, it is prokaryotic cell type. Whereas in Protista, fungi, Plantae and Animalia, we have the eukaryotic cells found. Monera has prokaryotic cell structure and Protista, fungi and other kingdoms have eukaryotic cell structure. More or less it is the same. Now, what is this prokaryotic and what is this eukaryotic cell structure? In the prokaryotic cell structure, it is the primitive one. So it was primitive one, so its structure will be simple enough. So there is only a cell membrane, a plasma membrane is there. There will be a plasma membrane, then there will be cell wall, then there will be simple rhizomes and nucleoid or loose genetic material. So the genetic material here is loose. There is no nuclear membrane. Even you will not find any membrane bound organelle. You will not find any membrane bound organelle in a prokaryotic cell. So the basic difference between a eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell is that there are no membrane bound organelles in the eukaryotic cell. There are no membrane bound cells in prokaryotic, no membrane bound organelles. See, organelles are the various parts of a cell. Organelles, organs we have, just for example liver, we have heart, these are organs. But when you go to the cell structure, you have certain parts in a cell. These parts are known as organelles. For example, mitochondria, ribosomes are there, then Golgi bodies are there. These are organelles, just remember it. So in a prokaryotic cell, there are no membrane bound organelles. If you talk about the eukaryotic cell, there are membrane bound organelles. There is a distinct nucleus, there is a nuclear membrane, there are mitochondria, you will find chloroplast also there, you will also find plastids. Plastids are color giving cells. So you will find plastids also. Other bodies like Golgi bodies are also found in a eukaryotic cell. So the basic difference between a eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell is that the prokaryotic cell are the primitive one, they do not have organelle, membrane bound organelles. In the eukaryotic cell, you have membrane bound organelles and the nuclear material is bounded by a nuclear membrane. So this is the basic difference. So this eukaryotic cell is found in the other kingdoms, and in the Monera you don't find any membrane, bound cells. Now coming back, there may be presence of a cell wall. For example, here you can see the cell wall is there. The cell wall is there. In mycoplasma, cell wall is absent. In bacteria, cell wall is present. Cyanobacteria, cell wall is there. But in mycoplasma, cell wall is absent. Now, if the cell wall is absent, what is going to happen? See, antibiotics, they impact the building of the cell wall. Cell wall is a very vital organ, you can say organ of any cell or vital part of any cell, and the antibiotics affect this cell wall. That's why this bacteria is not able to survive when we inject antibiotic there. Mycoplasma, there is no cell walls, that's why antibiotics are ineffective on mycoplasma. If you want to relate it with the human body also do not have a cell wall. In plant cell you are going to find the cell wall, but in animal cells you are not going to find the cell wall. So we do not have a cell wall. We do not have a cell wall, that's why we are not affected by antibiotics, right? So you can relate with that also. So mycoplasma are not affected by antibiotics. Why? Because they lack cell walls. Coming back to the question, first statement is right. Mycoplasma are inherently resistant to the antibiotics. Why? Because they do not have cell walls. So answer becomes option A. Both statement 1 and 2 are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation of the statement 1. Next question is question number 33. I have missed few questions, but this fungi was related with your Whitaker classification. That's why I am covering both together. Now question says, fungi are the diverse group of prokaryotic cells that lack a nucleus and membrane bound organelles. You have already seen fungi is a eukaryotic cell, and it has nucleus as well as membrane bound organelles. So all this statement, the first statement is completely wrong. So first statement becomes completely wrong. Second is fungi reproduce through both sexual and asexual means. Now in fungi, the reproduction happens by 3 methods. First one is vegetative reproduction, which can happen by budding. There can be budding. In yeast you might have seen this budding. There may be fragmentation. The whole body divides or converts into fragments, and each fragment gives rise to a new organism. Second one is asexual reproduction, and third method is your sexual reproduction. This asexual reproduction, it happens with the help of conidia, with the help of spores known as conidia. You just need to remember this name, conidia. It might be asked, this conidia are related with which organism? So they are related with fungi, and it is responsible for asexual reproduction. Whereas this sexual reproduction happens due to oospores and ascospores. So second statement becomes right. Both sexual and asexual means are there for reproduction of fungi. Third one is fungi are autotrophic as they obtain energy by process of photosynthesis. Now with respect to fungi, they are not autotrophic, they are heterotrophic. Autotrophic means they can the meaning of autotrophic is they can manufacture or they can make their own food. For example, plants, by photosynthesis they can manufacture their own food. Algae, they can manufacture their own food. They are autotrophs. Heterotrophs are those which are dependent upon other organisms for nutrition. So fungi are heterotrophic, they are not autotrophic. In heterotrophic also they have two types. One is parasitic and another one is saprotrophic. Parasitic means they rely upon other organisms, other living organisms for their nutrition. For example, you might have seen diseases, they are mainly due to parasites. The parasites feed upon the living matter, so they are parasitic. Examples can be smut, rust, wheat rust is there. These are crop related diseases caused by the fungi. Another example can be ringworm or any fungal infection that we are affected with. So this is a parasitic mode of nutrition. Second is saprotrophic. Saprotrophic means feeding upon or nutrition from dead matter. If you can recall, you might have seen the mushrooms that we have, agaricus it is known as, technically it is known as agaricus. Where do these mushrooms grow? They mainly grow upon the bark of a plant or dead any dead matter that is lying there. So mainly they grow upon dead matter. So saprotrophic nutrition means that they take nutrition from the dead matter. So it is heterotrophic nutrition, not autotrophic. So third statement also becomes wrong. So the answer here becomes option A, that is 1 only. Option A, that is 1 only. Few more facts about fungi. Fungi itself is having its own kingdom. We have seen that in the Whittaker classification, it is the third kingdom. Now fungi have cell wall. There is presence of cell wall in fungi and it is made of chitin. You need to remember this. Cell wall in fungi is made up of chitin. If we talk about plants or algae, it is made of cellulose. The function of cell wall is to protect against any injuries, to protect the plasma membrane. So in cell wall is made up of chitin. Some examples of fungi include yeast, which we use daily, then agaricus, the mushrooms that we eat, it is a source of food. Then you have smuts and rust, which are parasitic. Ringworm, which affects us, it is a fungal disease. So these are the disease related fungi. Then we also get antibiotics from fungi like penicillin. Like penicillin, we get antibiotics from fungi. So fungi can be harmful or can be useful for the human consumption. Now one more thing, antibiotics. Who discovered the antibiotics? Can you just recall who discovered the antibiotics? Antibiotics were discovered by Alexander Fleming. In 1928. Done. So answer is option A. I hope fungi is clear to you. You can just go through it from your NCERT books as well. It is given more detail there. Now let's next move to next question. The question is, which of the following organisms have the ability to regenerate entirely new body from a severed arm? So it is talking, the question is about regenerative ability of the organisms. So if we see the regenerative ability means that if you lose any part of your body, you are able to regenerate it. For example, in humans, we have the regenerative capability of liver. If the liver is left, a small part is left, it can regenerate it. For the limbs, we do not have the regenerative capability. In chameleons, जिसे हम गिरगिट कहते हैं हिंदी में, they can regenerate their limbs and tail also. If they lose their tail or lose any of their limbs, कोई पंजा वगैरह टूट जाए, तो they can regenerate it. Salamander also, they can regenerate their limbs. It is possible for them. For the sharks, they have a unique capability of regenerating all their dental system. Because for sharks, the teeth are the most important things. So they can regenerate their teeth lifetime. For the whole life, they can regrow their teeth. So their regenerative capability for the tooth is very high. Last is starfish. Starfish has a very high capability of regeneration. It can actually, from one of its limb, can regenerate a whole new body. See, if you might have seen starfishes like this, in figures I guess you might have seen, starfish is like this. If any limb breaks down, this limb can generate the whole new body. So this is the regenerative capability of the starfish. The question was about this only, that who have the ability to regenerate the entire body from a severed arm. एक टूटी हुई आर्म से कौन अपनी पूरी बॉडी जनरेट कर सकता है? So the answer is starfish. Now other examples which you should know with respect to regeneration. One example is hydra. It has a high regenerative capability. Then another example, that is planaria. It is a flatworm. It can regenerate its head also. If it loses its head, it can regenerate its head also from any fragment. So planaria is also having a high regenerative capability. A little bit about starfish. Starfish come under phylum Echinodermata. They come under phylum Echinodermata. They are under classification, they come under phylum Echinodermata. Echinodermata have a unique characteristics known as water vascular system. Water vascular system. This is unique to Echinodermata, and this water vascular system is very much important for them. For locomotion, they move through by using this water system only. They, for nutrition also, they capture their food through this water system only, and also for respiration. So it is vital for the echinoderms. Done. Next we move to question number 31. Question number 31 says Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol aims to reduce the consumption and production of hydrofluorocarbon. Firstly, Montreal Protocol, it was signed in 1987 and came into force in 1989. The agreement was about phasing out the ozone depleting substances like chlorofluorocarbons, hydrochlorofluorocarbons, then methyl bromide, methyl chloroform, any substance which depletes the ozone. The Montreal Protocol aimed at its phasing out. So the first statement is right. The Kigali Agreement was about phasing out or reducing the consumption and production of hydrofluorocarbons. Now when these ozone depleting substances were being phased out, something was required which is going to fill their space. For example, if we talk about chlorofluorocarbons or hydrochlorofluorocarbons, they are used as refrigerants. So if we are removing these substances, some other substance should be there which is going to work as a refrigerant. So in place of this hydrofluorocarbons were introduced. Hydrofluorocarbons are not categorized as ozone depleting substances. You just mark this, that hydrofluorocarbons are not ozone depleting substances. That's why your second statement becomes wrong. They do not have any potential to deplete the ozone layer. They are immune or they are inert to the ozone layer. So hydrofluorocarbons came to replace this. So second statement is wrong, first statement is right. So answer here becomes option C. First statement is correct, second is incorrect. Now what is the problem with hydrofluorocarbons? That we have to sign a Kigali Agreement for that we are reducing its production as well as consumption. The hydrofluorocarbons has a very high global warming potential. Global warming potential means that the ability to heat the environment. When that gas is in atmosphere, its ability to absorb the sunlight. So if we take carbon dioxide, its ability is only 1. Its global warming potential is only 1. And if we talk about hydrofluorocarbons, its ability is 9,100. That means if 1 gram of hydrofluorocarbon is present in the air, it will absorb that much amount of energy which 9.1 kg of CO2 is going to absorb, right. So, it has a very high global warming potential. So, it is becoming one of the main reasons for the global warming. That is why we are having a Kigali agreement here. Along with it, if you see, it has a very high lifespan. If once it is released in atmosphere, it is going to be destroyed after 264 years. For 264 years, it is going to remain in the atmosphere. So, it is going to have a very long impact to the atmosphere. So, that is why we needed to phase out these hydrofluorocarbons as well. For this only, the Kigali agreement was signed in 2016 and it is supplementary to the Montreal Protocol. It is supplementary to the Montreal Protocol. It was signed in 2016 and its objective is that by 2045 we are going to reduce the consumption of hydrofluorocarbon by 85%. That only 15% will be left. By 85% hydrofluorocarbons consumption and production will be reduced. Now, this agreement has divided the countries into three parts. Group 1 countries, which consist of developed countries, which are going to start phasing out the use of hydrofluorocarbons by that time itself, and by 2019 they have to reduce 10% of this hydrofluorocarbons by the level of 2011 to 13. Second group consists of developing countries like China and African nations. They have to begin in 2024 and by 2029 they have to reduce 10% of the 2020 or 2022 levels. Thirdly, developing countries like India, Pakistan, Iran and Gulf countries, they have to start in 2028. So, that means India still have 5 more years or 4 more years for aligning with the Kigali agreement, and their levels taken will be 2024 to 2026, and by 2032 they have to reduce 10% of the consumption. And finally, the group 1 countries have to reduce by 85% by 2036. Group 2 countries by 2045 they have to reduce 80%, and country like India by 2047 we have to reduce 85% of our use of these hydrofluorocarbons. So, at the end, by 2045 we will be able to reduce 85% of the hydrofluorocarbons consumption in the whole world. Done. Now, next we move to question number 32. Question number 32 says, with respect to the fluoride, one more thing, this Montreal Protocol, this was legally binding. This was legally binding protocol. Wherever you see any legally binding thing, you should always pay attention to it. The question can be asked upon that. Now, next is question number 32. With respect to fluoride pollution, consider the following statement. Fluoride pollution can happen through burning of coal, manufacture of steel, iron, aluminium, then fertilizers, then glass making also. A number of manufacturing processes releases the fluorides in the atmosphere. Along with it, there can be fluoride present in the rocks as well, and their weathering or their heating can also release fluorides in the atmosphere. So, the first statement is right. When products like batteries and electronic devices are being disposed of, it can release the fluorides in the environment. Combustion of coal can release fluoride in the air. This is also right. And natural weathering of the rocks, if they have fluoride, they can also release fluoride in the groundwater. So, all the three are right. Answer becomes option C, that is all three. Now, how this fluoride affects us? How do it affect us? So, the fluoride pollution can directly affect our bones. It can result in fluorosis. Also, it can affect other body parts like renal, or you can say brain. It can affect cardiovascular system. It can affect. So, fluoride can have negative impact on whole of our body. But trace amounts of fluoride is also required in the body for strengthening of the bones. I am again repeating, trace amounts. So fluoride is required in trace amounts, a very low amount, for strengthening of the bones and also to check tooth decay. So to check or to prevent tooth decay and for strengthening of the bones, fluoride is required in trace amount. But if the consumption increases, it will result in a number of problems like fluorosis or also affect also the renal, brain, cardiovascular system, etc. will be affected by the high amounts of fluoride in the body. Next question is question number 34. Which of the following statement best describes the meaning of just transition in the relation to climate change? ILO has endorsed this program or this campaign, so this should be related somewhere to the labor or workforce. So the second statement, it means greening the economy in a way that are fair and inclusive to everyone, creating decent work opportunities and leaving no one behind. That means when we are shifting towards a sustainable development model, the lower strata of the population is not left behind. It should be inclusive, it should be sustainable development, it should be inclusive development. So this campaign is about this thing. Next is question number 35. Consider the following statement regarding the Forest Conservation Amendment Act of 2023. First statement says, the state government requires prior approval of the governor of the state to assign. The state government requires prior approval of the governor of the state to assign any forest land to a private entity. See, if you don't know about the provision, then also you can easily say that this statement is not right. Why? Because governor works upon the aid and advice of the cabinet, unless there are certain circumstances like tribal issues are there. The governor has to work upon the aid and advice of the state cabinet only. So it should not be governor, it is the union government. The states have to take permission of prior approval from the union government, not from the governor. So first statement becomes wrong. Second, the act specifies some activities that cannot be carried out in the forest, such as running zoos, safari and ecotourism facilities. The actual provision is actually counter to this. It is allowing for these activities. So this statement also becomes wrong. Now the act allows that there can be certain activities like running, zoos, safaris, ecotourism that will be allowed in the forest, right? Third statement, the bill exempts certain type of land from provisions of the act, such as forest land along a rail line. It is logical. We need infrastructure, so we need land also. So there can be some exemptions with respect to railway. Land situated within 10 kilometers of the international boundaries, yes, this can be correct. So the third statement is right. Answer here becomes option A, only one. Now the other exemptions are security related infrastructure up to 10 hectares, it is allowed, it is exempted. Then defense related projects like a camp of paramilitary force, etc., they are also allowed. So these are the exemptions that have been provided in the Forest Amendment Act. Next question is question number 36. Consider the following atmospheric emissions due to stubble burning. So first of all, we have to see what are the emissions there. Carbon dioxide is there. Yes, carbon dioxide will be released. Carbon monoxide will be released. Particulate matter will be released. Methane might be released. Not sure about it. Might be some methane that is trapped in the stubble. It might be released, but not sure about it. Next is which of the above are included in the air quality index in India. So which of the above will be included in the air quality index. So the question is mainly asking you which of these gases are covered under the air quality index. If we see the air quality index, which was released in 2019 by Environment Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, it identifies 8 pollutants: PM10, PM2.5, NO2, SO2, CO, O3, ammonia and lead. So out of this, option 2 and option 3, they are correct. carbon monoxide is this, and particulate matter is this. Carbon dioxide is nowhere mentioned here, so this becomes wrong, and methane also becomes wrong. So answer becomes option B, that is 2 and 3 only. So the question was mainly about, do you know what are the 8 pollutants that have been identified under the air quality index? Now this air quality index, it gives us six parameters for identifying what is the state of the air, what is the quality of the air. First is good quality, it is between 0 to 50. Then if it is between 51 to 100, it is satisfactory. It may cause minor breathing discomfort. It is moderately polluted if it is in the range of 100 to 200, and it will cause breathing discomfort to those who are already facing breathing problems. Then comes the poor one. Poor, it may cause breathing discomfort to people for prolonged exposure, and may have discomfort to people with heart diseases. Then is the red, that is very poor. It may cause respiratory illness and is going to affect severely those who are already having respiratory problems. And last one is severe. When the index crosses 400 mark, it is marked as dark red, and it may cause respiratory impact even on the healthy persons. So this is the 6 parameters that have been given under our National Air Quality Index. Next is question number 37. Question says, consider the following statement regarding the homeostasis of the ecosystem. First is, it is a state when an ecosystem maintains a biological equilibrium between the different components. This, see, homeostasis, the meaning is that you are able to make a balance. Whenever any stimulus is given to you, you are able to maintain your body balance according to it. Just take an example like this. When the temperature increases, we sweat out. What happens? When the external temperature increases, sweating happens, and due to evaporative cooling, our body temperature comes down. So the body is able to maintain 37-degree temperature by sweating out in a hot climate. Similarly, if there is cold outside, then we start shivering. What shivering do? It is a kind of exercise which creates heat in the body, and again the temperature rises to 37 degree. So homeostasis is a biological, it is a mechanism to maintain biological equilibrium in the organism or in the environment itself. So the first statement is right. Second is, it continues to remain static with the time and is not subject to any change, as it would lead to catastrophic imbalances in the ecosystem. See how it can be static. It has to be dynamic. We have to regularly maintain our body temperature. In summers we are sweating out, in winters we are shivering. So body is in a constant state, it is in a dynamic state of maintaining the balance. So it continues to remain dynamic with the time. As the outside conditions change, our body also responds to that. So this second statement becomes wrong, it should be dynamic here. So answer becomes option A, that is 1 only. Next is, which of the following best describes the biomagnification? See, biomagnification means whenever we rise in the trophic level, the external chemicals that are not digested by the body, its concentration increase. Just take an example of this one. DDT is there. DDT is present in water. The concentration is very low. It is consumed by zooplanktons, and the concentration in zooplanktons increases, because DDT is neither absorbed by the body and is not released by the body. It remains in the body. Now when this number of zooplanktons are fed upon by small fish, the concentration of DDT increases more in the fish. It goes to 0.5 ppm. And when it is eaten by large fish, the concentration again goes up. And when it is eaten by a bird, the fish is eaten by a bird, the concentration again increases. So biomagnification is increase in concentration of the toxicant at successive trophic levels. Trophic level is this is primary, secondary, this is secondary, then these are all secondary. So even you can say tertiary trophic levels are there. So as we increase in the trophic levels, the concentration of the toxicants, it increases. This is known as biomagnification. Another term that is related with it is eutrophication. We studied it in first question itself. Eutrophication. What is eutrophication? It is the increase in level of nutrients in a water body. When the nutrients in a water body increases abruptly, it is known as eutrophication, which ultimately leads to death of the water body. Next is question number 95. Consider the following wetlands: Kolaroo Lake, Null Slover Bird Sanctuary, Kaldeo National Park, Wooler Lake and Lothak Lake. Which of the sites given above are included in the Montrex record? What is this Montrex record? It is related with the Ramsar Convention. It is related with Ramsar Convention on Wetlands, which was signed in 1971 and came into force in 1975. This Montrex record, it came into force in 1996. It is actually a record or a list of those wetlands which are facing a change in their ecological character. If there is change in ecological character of any water body, then Montrex record is going to record it. So it's the main objective is to identify those wetlands which are having ecological threats and to curb those threats. Initially, India had 3 sites under this Montrex record. One was Kaldeo National Park, second was Lothak Lake, and third one was Chilka Lake. So here the answer becomes option 3 and 5, that is option C. Chilka Lake was removed in 2002 due to its efforts, and it was the authority was also awarded with the Ramsar Convention, Ramsar award also with respect to the preservation of the wetland. So now Chilka Lake is not in the Montrex record. Currently we have only 2 sites in the Montrex record. India has total of 75 wetlands listed under Ramsar Convention, right? So this is the factual data regarding it. Now I will end this with the brief location about the water bodies that we have studied. The Wooler Lake is in Jammu and Kashmir, or you can say Kashmir only. Then Kaldeo National Park is in Rajasthan. Kaldeo National Park is in Rajasthan. Null Sarovar Bird Sanctuary is in Gujarat, in the lower Gujarat, Kutch region. Then you have Lothak Lake, it is in Manipur. Manipur is also in news, you should remember it. Then last is Kolaroo Lake, it is in Andhra Pradesh. So this is the location of these wetlands. One request to you all is that whenever you find any place, you just take a map and mark it, and even make separate maps for wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, so that you do not forget them in the main examination. So with this I conclude, and thank you very much for your time. So thank you very much, and see you in the next paper discussion.